Like, I think for me, we looked at the qualifications because as a charity in Hartlepool, we faced a lot of criticism.
The most challenging is trying to make sure that people know that you're in it for the right reasons, you're delivering the right support, making sure that services can understand who you are.
We get up every day to support people. We don't do it for the awards or the kudos. We don't do it for the... We do it to make sure we've changed that person's life. That the system doesn't work together. There's a lot of organisations that don't work together. And individuals are just bouncing from service to service, facing disappointment after disappointment. There was no support in Hartlepool because family members within the town were getting lack of support when it came to their own personal mental health. We noticed that people were really struggling to access services, not because the services weren't there or because they had huge waiting lists, because people were simply too afraid to access the services. Just wanted a coffee, and at that time we were a coffee shop, but they would actually be suicidal and they wanted to die with their friends because where we thought something needs to be done. And then locally in Hartlepool there was a number of suicides over a summer period, and from there we realised something must have to happen. Hartlepool has one of the highest suicide rates in the country, so we really wanted to give people another option, another place to come if they were feeling suicidal and the support they need. When it comes to neurodiversity, people with autism are 1 in 4 times more likely to commit suicide or attempt suicide.
I think it's about being there for the community and making sure that people know who they can talk to, who they can turn to, who can support them when they need it the most. Both of our nanas, Lillian and Anne, who are no longer with us, when my little girl was born, we wanted to have a family name, but LilyAnne actually became my daughter's name. LilyAnne actually suggested Peas, if you remember.
Because she didn't want the coffee shop to be named after her, so she said, why don't you call it Peas? But because Beans is coffee, we were talking about lots of Beans names around coffee, so she was like, she doesn't like the name Beans. She doesn't want it to be called LilyAnne's because that's her name, so we should call it Peas.
A lot of people were coming to us and asking questions about where to go for support, what help to get, and I don't think people knew.
I do remember the first people we supported, and for us it was about knowing that we'd achieved something that day, and it felt really good, and maybe that's why we support people in the way we do, because it felt really good.
Came in and she was sat crying over a cup of tea, and most people think, oh, are you okay? The normal response is, are you okay? Is everything okay? But clearly it wasn't, so I was like, oh, how can I ask her if everything's okay without asking her if she's okay?
And this happened, I'm sure this happened on Christmas Eve or a couple of days before Christmas Eve, as everywhere was shutting and all the doctors were closing.
It was Christmas Eve, so it was the 23rd of December.
And I remember her saying to you that she wanted to go home, drink her last coffee, and that was it. We've had really tough year with my own health. After COVID, got fibromyalgia, type 1 diabetes, and suffer chronic pain. And then my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had a full mastectomy, she had a drain fitted, and within the midst of all that, there's a baby on the way as well, which hasn't been born yet. But for me, what's kept me motivated is knowing that when you're sitting in the chemo ward and you sat with people who really want to fight for their life and they're fighting to be here. So if I can give someone that hope who doesn't want to be here, that inspiration to know that someone loves them and that they've got someone to talk to, that is what keeps me motivated, I think.
My husband's had his own mental health struggles and still ongoing. And one day he just said to me, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of you. And I sat there and I thought, how many people don't have somebody? How many people don't know who to turn to? How many people are genuinely struggling on a day-to-day basis, knowing that they don't have anybody else, when we get to see people get their lives back on track?
I think when you get that diagnosis, one thing you've got to know is nothing's actually changed. You've already lived your whole life with those conditions and nothing's really changed.
It's helping somebody get their diagnosis. A lot of people don't know that they can or how to choose it or what options are available.